Reported measles cases are getting closer to the Albuquerque area, with 4 cases now confirmed in Sandoval County. 2 stolen paintings were returned to an art museum in Taos, ending nearly a 40-year mystery. The U.S. House passed a sweeping budget bill early Thursday that combines tax cuts, social safety net reductions, and immigration funding. And a long-standing conflict involving 2 former UNM Lobo basketball players has taken yet another turn. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Friday, May 23rd, and I'll have more on those stories in a few moments, plus a look at the weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is brought to you by the Kirtland Partnership Committee. For 30 years, we've been dedicated to supporting, growing, and preserving the Kirtland National Security Complex. We work tirelessly to enhance military readiness, foster community partnerships, improve quality of life, and promote economic development right here in New Mexico. Join us in our mission to ensure that Kirtland remains a cornerstone of national security and a key provider of quality jobs and investment for all of Greater Albuquerque. Together, we can make a powerful impact. Kirtland Partnership Committee, proudly shaping the future of our national security for 30 years.
Measles is edging into New Mexico's largest metro area, with 4 cases reported in Sandoval County in the past week, according to health officials. With more on this development, I'm now joined by Journal reporter Oliver Udebrook. Oliver, thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, thank you.
So, Oliver, with these 4 cases reported in Sandoval County, a measles outbreak that initially started in the southern part of the state now appears to be making its way northward.
Well, that's right, yes. In the past, it's been primarily measles cases have been largely in the southeastern part of New Mexico. There have been 3 counties of concern so far. Mainly Lee County, which has had 65 cases since February. But just recently, on May 15th, there were 2 cases announced in Sandoval County, and that brings the total number of Sandoval County cases to 4. And the Department of Health officials did not say this specifically, but they held their very first press conference in Albuquerque about measles, and I imagine that it was prompted by the fact that there are 4 recent cases in Sandoval County. So it seems to be kind of making its way into the metro area. Who knows where it will go from here.
And Oliver, during the press conference today, health officials emphasized the importance of the measles vaccine, especially ahead of summer travel. What can you tell us about the details they showed there?
Well, if you live in one of the affected areas, they urge kids to get their first vaccine between 6 and 11 months of age. Typically, it's recommended for children at 1 year, and then again from ages 4 to 6. If you get your vaccine early at 6 months or so, you need to get a second vaccine around 15 months of age, and then a third from ages 4 to 6. So you have to get 3 vaccines. That's why it's not considered a universal recommendation. And if you're an adult, it's recommended that you get 2 MMR vaccines in your lifetime.
And Oliver, part of your story I found the most interesting is how vaccination rates have risen in New Mexico since this outbreak began.
Yeah, New Mexicans are really responding to this. There have been about twice as many MMR vaccinations administered in New Mexico so far this year than there were last year in the same period. So New Mexicans are definitely paying attention to this outbreak. It's the worst that New Mexico has seen in many, many years, and New Mexicans seem to really be paying attention to it.
So 4 measles cases now reported in Sandoval County. Typical symptoms for measles include fever, cough, runny nose, and red eyes that can last anywhere from 2 to 4 days, then a rash that develops typically starting on the head and spreading its way down the body. Health officials recommend that anybody with symptoms or those who believe they were exposed to measles to call the New Mexico Department of Health hotline at 1-833-796-8773. That's 833-796-8773. Albuquerque Journal reporter Oliver Udebrook sharing the latest with us. Thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you, Gino.
2 stolen paintings were returned to the Harwood Museum of Art in Taos on Monday, ending nearly a 40-year mystery. Victor Higgins Aspen's and Joseph Henry Sharp's Oklahoma Cheyenne, also known as Indian Boy in Full Dress, were taken in March of 1985.
This really is kind of like one of those old school heist art movies.
My colleague Nikayla McClellan is a reporter at the Journal and co-wrote this story alongside our colleague Logan Beitman.
In 1985, 2 works of arts were stolen from Harwood back when it was more more of a public library. For 40 years, nobody has ever been able to figure out where they went, who took them, and worst of all, they were stolen in the middle of daylight. So it's one of those weird, unique crimes. But just on Monday, they were finally returned back home.
The theft was orchestrated by Rita and Jerry Alter, a New Mexico couple now infamously linked to their multiple art heists, including the $100 million theft of Willem de Kooning's painting in Arizona. Their story is detailed in the documentary The Thief Collector, which will be screened at Harwood as part of a June 6 public event called, quote, The Return of Taos Treasures. According to Harwood Executive Director Juniper Leheresi, the Alters used a wheelchair ruse and a trench coat to distract staff and conceal the paintings. Their connection to the Harwood theft came to light in 2017 following the return of the de Kooning painting. Investigative reporter Lou Schachter contacted Leheresi, sparking the foundation of the Art Recovery Task Force that helped reopen the case with the FBI in 2024. The paintings, sold under altered titles at a 2018 Scottsdale auction, Aspens for $93,600 and Oklahoma Cheyenne for $52,650, were not properly vetted, according to museum staff. Leheresi noted that Sharp's original title was clearly written on the back of the canvas, questioning the auction house's diligence. Oddly, this was not the first time these specific works were stolen. Taos News Archives revealed they were also taken in 1977. Today, the Harwood boasts a significantly stronger security system and is inviting the public to the official unveiling of the recovered pieces on June 6 at the Ellis Clark Gallery, followed by the documentary screening. The U.S. House passed a sweeping budget bill early Thursday that combines tax cuts, social safety net reductions, and immigration funding, prompting sharp political divides here in New Mexico. Dubbed the, quote, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the legislation includes no tax on tips and overtime through 2028, extends the 2017 Trump-era tax cuts, and slashes Medicaid by $700 billion and food aid by $267 billion over the next 10 years. New work requirements would also be imposed for both programs. While New Mexico Republicans, including State Party Chair Amy Borrella, celebrated the bill as a move to prioritize Americans over special interests, state Democrats fiercely opposed it. Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez called it, quote, morally bankrupt, and Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham criticized its impact on low-income families and environmental initiatives. All three of New Mexico's Democratic House members voted against the bill. New Mexico, with the third highest poverty rate in the United States, could see a major financial blow, about $300 million from the SNAP changes alone, according to state analysts. Environmental groups scored a separate victory when a controversial proposal to sell 500,000 acres of public land in Nevada and Utah was removed from the final bill. Advocates praised the bipartisan opposition, though concerns remain that Senator Mike Lee of Utah might revive the provision in the Senate version.
And when we think about public land specifically, Utah Senator Mike Lee has been one of the most vocal advocates for selling federally owned land to the states.
My colleague Kathy Cook covers the federal government for the Journal.
And he is on the Senate Budget Committee, so it's possible he'll add a provision in the Senate.
Representative Gabe Vasquez and Representative Ryan Zink highlighted this as a win for their bipartisan Public Lands Caucus. The bill now heads to the Senate, where significant changes are expected. And in sports news, former UNM basketball players True Washington and Shane Dumas-Sanchez remain entangled in conflict long after leaving the team. Dumas-Sanchez had filed a civil lawsuit alleging Washington punched him in November of 2023 and that UNM staff failed to take appropriate action. Washington now claims he was assaulted on April 29th near Johnson Gym by a man he believes is Dumas-Sanchez's uncle, while Dumas-Sanchez and relatives were present. Security footage reportedly backs Washington's account, and he has now expressed intent to press charges. No suspects have been publicly identified, and UNM has declined to comment due to the ongoing investigation. Both players entered the transfer portal after the season. Washington has since signed with Miami, while Dumas-Sanchez's future remains unclear. The civil case, which now includes Washington as a defendant, heads to court in July, with UNM and former coach Richard Pitino seeking a dismissal. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect sunny skies with a high near 94, and as for this evening, mostly clear with a low around 56. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back on Monday.